3 days ago, I woke up with an idea to create a workbook for anyone to assess their maturity on the RevOps maturity model that I'd created. And I wanted to see how quickly I could get that book created into production. And here I am 3 days later with my Amazon delivery. So I'm going to open it. And here is the book that I designed on Sunday, and it is Wednesday. And each of these pages is exactly as I'd asked for, with all the different stages of the maturity model, enabling a founder or revenue leader to go through this with their team and to assess their maturity against each of these 22 capabilities. 11 of them external, on how your prospects, customers, and partners perceive and experience their journey through their buying process. And then 11 internal, covering your marketing, your sales, and your customer success teams, and the systems, processes, technology, and strategy that they deploy in order to enable those external capabilities. So you can now find this on Amazon. Just search for Revenue Operations Maturity Workbook, and that will come up, and that can be on your doorstep in just a couple of days. Right, so let's go back to the start of the process, and we're going to create a low content workbook from scratch. Now, the key to this is that I've already worked out what I want to have in my low content book, and it's providing people with a worksheet to go through this RevOps maturity model. So there are 22 different capabilities in these different rows, and for each of those capabilities there are 3 levels of maturity. And what I want to provide purchasers of this book the ability to do is to go through each of those capabilities to understand where they are on that spectrum, and then to be able to doodle and think through suggestions of how they might improve their effectiveness against that capability. So it's important to have this idea in your mind before you even start, so that you're not starting from a completely blank page. So the first thing I'm going to do is use a tool called Canva, which is in fact what I've used to design this. Canva is a fantastic tool for designing anything, and there's a free plan. I'm on the paid plan, which allows me to have some more customized elements, but you can do most of what we're going to do here on the free plan. So the first thing I'm going to do is to spin up a new book. Book size, and if I go here to, let's just move myself out of the way, we want custom size, and we want inches, and we want the width to be 5.5 and the height to be 8.5. Now this for me is a sort of standard size of a book. Let me just find, so all the books that I publish are this 8.5 by 5.5. It's a fairly standard format. It fits nicely in a bookshelf. It's not too big, it's not too small, and for I think this is about 100 and it's 200 or so pages. It's a nice handy thing that can fit in someone's bag. Because we want to do a workbook, you might think, well, let's do a larger size, like a letter or A4. But it's not going to go into a bookshelf. It's going to potentially get cluttered on the desk. So that's the size that I'm going to go for. So I'm going to create this new design. I'll move myself back over here. So we've now got one page, and because this is a workbook, it's actually going to repeat quite a few things across each of the pages. So for each section, for each of the capabilities, I'm going to have a kind of introduction to the capability, and then I'm going to provide 3 or so questions for the person to answer. So to start off with, I'm going to build move this over here, an element, and I'm going to look for a square. Here we go. Shapes. Yeah, I don't actually want rounded. There we go. That's what I want. And then, because it's going to be black and white, we don't really want any color because it'll just look grey. And then we want a thin border. Oh, maybe 2 will be fine there. And then inside that is where we can put our text for the beginner. So we're just going to take that and enter that here. I'm going to make the size of this just 1, so that's not too bright. So that's 1, and then we're going to copy this up here, and I'm going to take the text for number 2. Here we are. And then the text for number 3 up here. That's going to be a bit more text, I think. Okay, let's just change the title of this. So, RevOps Maturity Model Workbook. Okay. So the idea here is that we're going to have some text, beginner, and builder, and advanced. Okay, and then I want an arrow. No, in elements. Graphics here. Let's get a nice. I think something like that actually. And then we're going to give that a little, maybe light grey colour because it's going to go into a book, so we don't want any fancy colours. And another one up there. Okay, so let's make these a bit longer. Let's check they're the right height and the right width. Maybe that can be up there, I don't know, something like that. They're all going to be quite big, those ones. And let's make these all a bit smaller. And I want to change the font of those. So quite a bit of work goes into this first one, but then we're just going to replicate this quite a few times. So we don't need to worry too much about it taking too long to do one of these. And then the font that I want is up here, maybe a Merriweather Light. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then let's get another title up here. So this is for the dark funnel. stages of maturity, and then we're going to have we'll come and do page numbers a little bit later. But here we're saying, right, these are the main stages. Okay, so now let's add on a new page, and then here I've got a set of questions. So let me just get it off my other screen. Okay. And here are the assessment questions. So for each of these, we've got 3 questions. So these are the core of the pages for the actual workbook. So here's question number 1. And we're going to give them some checkboxes. Let's see. Yeah, let's try this, and then let's try another bit of text. Not at all. And this will be Merriweather. Copy that. Partially. And then that's across, that's all right. Absolutely. That's not level. And that's not level. There we go. We're aware of the private communities that our target percentage use to engage with their peers. Not at all, partially, absolutely. And then what I want to do is just like a rectangle. It's an image actually, I don't want to do that. We need shapes. There we go. Okay, and then we'll have a little border on there. And okay, that's looking good. Let's make this border a little bit thinner. There we go. And then we're going to have a bit of text here. How are we doing today? What can we do to improve? And then I want to give them 3 things. 1, so it guides people. 2, zoom in here. There we go. And 3. Okay, there we go. How are we doing today? It's not what, it's more, what are we doing today?
and then people can put some notes. So we're aware of the private communities that our target personas use to engage their peers. Not at all, partially, absolutely. Are these centered? Okay. Okay. What are we doing today? What can we do to improve? Okay. So then all I can do now is just duplicate and duplicate. And then for these next questions, so take the question. There's 1, 2 right here. Copy. And here. Copy. We need to make this a bit smaller. If we want, we can have some margins. Show rulers and guides. And show margins. And so here you can see this margin that we actually want to be in and centered. Centered. There we go. So just make sure that we're, dot funnel. We can bring the rest of this down a little bit. There we go. That's all inside. There we go. Okie dokie. So that is our first capability. And then now, I think what I can do, move to a grid view, is go 1, 2, 3, 4, duplicate 4 pages. And now we can go on. In fact, I'm going to do that again. Command D, so I can do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, so I've now got an 88-page book, and all I now need to do is just to go through each of the 22 capabilities and just copy across the content. So I'll do that now.
Okay, so that was a lot of copying and pasting, but now the situation is we've got 88 pages, and if I scroll all the way up to the top, you can see for each of these, you've got the dark funnel and then the 3 maturity assessment questions, own funnel, the 3 questions, and so on all the way through. But that probably took me only 20 minutes because the content was already there in the spreadsheet. So it's just a case of copying and pasting it across, and then it's the same format across. So there's a couple of other pages that I want to now introduce, and that's really just to explain what's happening right up at the top. So if I just spin back up to the top here, so I'm going to add in another page and then put it up at the top. And then here I'm going to introduce the revenue acceleration flywheel. Bring this all the way across here. And then over here, I've got the revenue acceleration flywheel for SaaS businesses. So I'm just going to copy. Actually, it's all grouped, so that's okay. Copy that across to here. And I'm just going to add in a little bit of text. And then some other keywords, so sales strategy, scaling, dark funnel, revenue acceleration flywheel, in case anyone's searching for that, rev ops maturity, say maturity model, maturity assessment, and customer success marketing in there as well. So there's loads of keywords to help people to find the book. Save and continue. Published without an ISBN, so any journals we don't need to create an ISBN, so that's fine. Publication date, this is going to go live today. We are going to use black and white interior with white paper, which is the standard. The trim size, we are going to use our 8.5 by 5.5. Bleed settings, no bleed. Paperback, I'm going to have the matte rather than the glossy one. And then we're going to go upload the paperback manuscript, which is what I've just downloaded, is here. And then I'm going to upload the cover that we've already created. Did I download the cover? No, I don't think I did. There we go. PDF print, download. Upload your cover file. Do this again. Okay, and then what Amazon is doing now is just double checking everything in both the manuscript and the size and content of the cover to double check. So we'll come back to that in 1 second. Okay, Amazon has now finished processing the drafts. So here you can see we've got the cover. That's nice and central. It's nice and clear to anyone that's buying it what this is. And then on the back, we've got some text here. We can see that the ISBN is not covering any of the text. So that's all good. So we can then go right, and now you can see, okay, our text is nicely in the middle here. Our table of contents is starting in the middle of the page, and things are looking pretty good. How to use this workbook. Everything is pretty centralized. Page 6, 7, 8, 9. If there are any issues, I'll go over here, then Amazon's going to have them here. They're going to say typically things are outside of your border, but I'm not seeing any issues here because we made sure that everything was inside. So this is our book. It's all looking quite good. Okay, I'm just going to speed through to the end because these are all following the same format. And we get to the end, RevOps bullseye, good luck. And then that's the end of the book. Okay, so that's perfect. I'm going to approve that. And now we go through to confirming how much we're going to sell them for. So we can see here it's going to cost us $1.93 every time it's printed. So we want to sell in all territories. Primary marketplace for me is the UK. So here it's going to cost $1.93. So I'm going to sell this for something like $9.99. And you can see here it's going to calculate $1.93 is the printing cost. Amazon take their proportion. We make 60%, which means that'll make £4 for each book. So it's not going to make us a fortune, but we're not going to lose any money on it. And then it's going to convert that pricing into every other jurisdiction that they sell in. So I'm just going to leave it at that. It's a low content book. You know, is someone going to spend $10 on it, £10 on it? Well, if they're not, then they're not going to do the work inside. So I think it's absolutely fair to be pricing that at £10, $12. Could be more, but the accompanying main book that I'm going to sell with it will be more than that. Terms and conditions. Okay, perfect. And then I'm just going to save this because I'm just going to have one final copy, look through the content, but then that is ready to publish, and that will be available on the Amazon store for me to buy in literally a few minutes. Okay, it is now about 7 or 8 hours since I submitted the book, and it is now available for purchase. And I am going to buy a copy of the book. Yeah, buy now. Delivery date 2 days. Transact. The transaction paid, done. So that was a book that I came up with the idea this morning. You watched me create the manuscript, create the cover, submit it to Amazon, and then I've just ordered it, and that'll arrive on my doorstep hopefully tomorrow, but maybe Tuesday or Wednesday this week. Just goes to show that really creating a book does not take that much amount of time, as long as you've got the idea, the concept, then the actual production and getting it ready for someone to buy doesn't take too long. Thanks for following along with the journey.